he got better. He nursed you and
Oh, yeah.
saved your life, maybe.
Sure. I died there in that hammock, I think, before any of those officials in that sick room would ever come out there and done anything. I should have been in that sick bay all that time. I'd probably been well by the time that guy found me.
So you were in the Philippines and Japan?
Yeah, we went down to Philippine Islands. There's 3 or 4 little islands in there. Then we went on down to, what is that big resort island down there?
Not the Virgin Islands.
No, the Hawaiian Islands.
Oh, yeah.
We went through the Hawaiian Islands there. And then from there we went on over to Japan, took in all the seaports down along there. And then from there we went on into China and took in all the main seaports, cleared out through China to the peninsula. Then we went from there to Cambodia and Vietnam and all those little places up in there.
That's quite a cruise, wasn't it?
Yeah, I got to see a lot of the world on that cruise.
I never, Vietnam, Korea and Vietnam and Cambodia were places I never really heard that much about till suddenly we were in war in
Yeah.
Korea and then later Vietnam
Yeah.
and Cambodia. China, there's so many people, or was so many people there at that time. Were the streets pretty crowded and?
Well, they didn't seem to be crowded, but there was an awful lot of people on the streets in the evenings, especially. And their stores were all open in the daytime and till night, and then everybody was out there before the stores closed up. There was lots of people on the streets ahead. Shoe workers along, you'd see little crews working here and there up on the streets.
Was your stay in Russia the most memorable? I mean, does that stand out as being the most memorable of your trip?
Well, I guess probably it was, because I saw so many things there that didn't look right. Why should we be up there trying to put a bunch of people like those fellas in the power up there after we just finished that war? Why should we be up there putting those people into power? We couldn't understand it. I guess is what worried us both. We couldn't understand why we was doing that.
And then you left the Navy, or you came back to the United States from Russia, didn't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, come back on Army transport.
In China, did you meet any people that spoke English that you could? Or you mentioned about the sawmill.
Yeah.
Was the merchants, any of them, able to speak English? Could you go out and shop and buy things?
Well, not too many of those kinds, but I run into a family there by the name of Blacks. They were missionaries over there. And I met him on the street, and he visited with him a little, and he invited me to come up to the house the next time I had a liberty. And I did. I went up and visited them. And they had a Chinese woman there keeping house for them, and she had been one of those rich Chinaman's daughters. And she was a Littlefoot, what they call the Littlefoots. You know, the rich people, they would bend their babies, the girl babies, they'd bend their toes down under the heel there and bind them there so they couldn't walk. And keep that foot little. They called them little feet. And she'd been this black family, Mr. and Mrs. Black. They had a couple of young children, and this woman become a Christian. And when she become a Christian, she just throw those plastics over there and straighten her feet out. And they had grown out so that she could wear a number 4 shoe.
Number 4.
A number 4 shoe. And I have one of her shoes that she wore before that. She gave me one of her shoes.
You
to
have
bring
it
her.
now?
I still have it in the trunk at home. And
Fabulous.
she was so proud of those feet now and she was the happiest woman you ever see.
To get her feet unbound?
To get those feet so she could walk on them. And her father disinherited her. He wouldn't let her give her a dime or anything. He wouldn't help her at all after she straightened those feet out.
Is that right?
But she says, I'd rather have these feet than to have my daddy.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, how did they walk? Just sort of trot along?
Well, someone had to hold them up.
Oh,
They couldn't walk on those feet.
that was fashionable to
Sure,
have
that
servants.
showed his wealth, that he could support his daughter and have people to carry
Wait
her
on.
around. Wait on her.
Oh, what a way to show your wealth.
Well, that's a cruel way.
Cruel way, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
She never had any regrets, did she?
No, she didn't regret that his wealth at all. She just as happy as she could be. They paid her a salary there to do her cooking for them. And she was a good cook, too. I had supper with him that night. And she was walking around on those proud feet, waiting on us.
What about that?
She gave me that one shoe and a set of chopsticks.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
That was what year were you there? 19 and
19 and 19.
19 and 19. So she, well, that's interesting. I've read about, binding their feet, and now they're not allowed to do that. I don't
No,
think.
they don't do that anymore.
That was a bad thing for the girls, wasn't it?
Oh, it was misery.
You can imagine. Poor little thing.
Those feet must have hurt them all the time, especially when they tried to put any weight on them.
After you came back to the States, were you discharged in Russia or at the?
No,
were you coming home to be discharged?
I just come home to be discharged on the Army transport, and they put me off on Good Island at San Francisco, and we waited there for about 2 weeks to get some discharge papers. I didn't have any first class discharge papers, and they never did come, so they give me not an honorable discharge, but it was you wrote on that no honorable discharges available.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote that on that second grade.
Mm-hmm. And you went back to Klamath County.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went back to work in the Forest Protective Association again.
Was that a state organization?
No, it was a private organization. It's the private timber owners, and such as the Weyerhaeuser and the smaller owners around, taking anyone that had any timberland that wanted to join them.
Mm-hmm.
And they paid in, at that time, it was only cost them about 5 cents an acre to protect the forest from those fires. Go out there and put out those. First started where we'd go out there and put out, one man would go out there horseback with a rake or a shovel on his back and get off and put the fires out. We didn't have any brush to speak of.
Oh.
And the needles, it didn't hurt it. It's forced to burn those needles off. But the college there at Salem, they put a forest degree in there, started teaching forestry. And when they started to graduate, the Forest Service started to hire those people to come out there and oversee the Forest Service. And those graduates says, keep all the fire out. Don't let anything burn. And we'd always been burning, when we was on the beetle work, why we'd burn out all the fire traps that we'd come through.
Keep it clean.
Keep it clean.
Mm-hmm.
And that needles are burning off the ground, that small buckbrush and snow brush would come up in there, and it was thin barked, and just the needles are burning off under there and kill those brush. And if you burn that off about every 3 or 4 years, as soon as the needles would run from one place to another, you would never have any brush. But when you stopped burning that now for a few years, you had plenty of brush.
Is that what causes the forest fires out there so much now?
That's right. That's what burned up so much timber there this past decade. If they'd have kept that brush burned off and the needles all burned off there, well, they wouldn't have had any brush.
Uh-huh. Like
Nothing but pine trees. They wouldn't. The fire wouldn't reach the needles on the pine trees. Needles up high. They never would have had a forest fire.
Mm-hmm.
It'd all been needle fire.
Well, okay. Yeah, that's right. And it wouldn't have bothered them.
It wouldn't have hurt the timber at all. It'd been good for it.
That's too bad.
Because it kept that brush burned down till they wouldn't. The brush would have been soaking up the moisture away from the trees.
Right.
But the Forest Service can't see that yet. They can't see that that brush is taking up most of the moisture.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have time to get down into the roots of the big trees.
Right. It grabs it, don't it?
Yeah. But they haven't learned that yet.
They haven't gone back to the old paths, have they, or the
No.
old ways. After you got married and settled down, after you returned to Klamath County, you started ranching, farming yourself. I believe you said 1924.
Well, I quit the Klamath Forest Protective Association in 24. I got married that fall and I started farming the next spring. I had already bought some land out there. And then 70 started farming, building up a farm out there. It was all sagebrush. I started in from the scratch. Put up the fence first thing and then started clearing sagebrush. Built a ditch. I had a ditch surveyed before I quit working for the Forest Protective. And I hired one of my neighbors there to come out and help me build that ditch and build the fence and the ditch. And then we got the ditch built around there. I went clearing sagebrush, leveling land.
Were you a cattle farmer, or did you do both?
Well, it is first I run cattle there for several years before I sold that place. And then I bought 320 down on the lower Klamath Lake, so I had that one down there, and I got to where I couldn't run up and down the highway to farm both places, so I sold that Blythe place. I tried first to sell the one in Lower Klamath, but couldn't get a buyer for that, so I sold the one that I just built up there. Didn't have it quite finished yet. The land leveling, I didn't have that quite finished. But I had the ditches made so that they could get over all of it, but the small piece on the lower end. But that fellow I sold to, he finished that out, and she's a fine looking ranch up there now.
I believe you said you had one time had 2,800 acres.
Yeah.
Was that in Klamath County? Or?
Oh yeah, it's all in Klamath County.
That's quite a spread, isn't it?
Well, not too big. A lot of that was just grazing land, of course. Some of it was out on the timber too. But even in the timber there, where you kept the needles burned off, it's good grazing out there. Every spring that wild grass come up in there. Now warehouses tearing that old grass all out. I don't suppose there'll ever be any grass in their land anymore.
Really? Farming was a little different in Oregon than it was back east, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, my wife bought a tractor for me when we got married. She had sheep in Texas, and she sold her sheep and bought a real tractor for me.
Now, was she a professional? You said she had sheep, but was she a professional? Did she teach school or work in the office or what?
Well, she taught school for a while in Texas, and then she quit teaching there. She stayed on the ranch and took care of the sheep and the goats. And then when she come out to Oregon to visit her sister out there, she left the sheep and the goats with his brother-in-law. He took care of them till, well, they sold the goats, I guess. She kept her sheep. She had 150 sheep, I believe it was. She got married while she had him sell the sheep. And that's what she bought the tractor with.
Is that right?
Yeah.
She was an outdoors woman, wasn't she?
Oh, yeah.
She liked the outdoors.
She never liked anything but those ranches.
That was good.
And she knew how to work too. We worked side by side. I had her running that tractor, pulling a ditcher, and I was riding the ditcher, and that doggone ditcher hooked under a solid rock, and it threw me up in the air, and I fell, and it come down and fell right across my legs. Oh, it almost broke my thigh right across that.
Scared you to death, I bet, and hurt
Oh,
too.
I let a yell out of it when as soon as it hit the rock, but before she could get her foot on the clutch, it had me in the air. And she got off and come around there to get me out from under that ditcher. And of course, she got a hold of the wing of it. The wing come away back here and sloped down into the ground, and a big hand hole welded on the back end of it here. And she was able to tip it back over and get it off of me. But I had a hard time getting to the house. I'm sure the bone was cracked in there. I made it to the house. I laid in the bed for about a week before I got out and walked around.
Did you have was that coyote country?
Oh, yeah. The coyotes, we had to be with the sheep all the time or they'd kill all the lambs.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Thick as they could be in there. And we had a government trapper there, too. And he was doing a good job poisoning them in the summertime and trapping them in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
But there was big country all the way around us there. No settlements in it. All that timber country and no settlements in that. And they thrived up in there. There were enough rabbits and squirrels that they could catch out there. They thrived. But they'd get down with the sheep, boy, they lived fat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the little lambs didn't have a chance, did they?
No.
I've heard the coyotes were pretty mean.
Well, there was lots of sheep in that country. Big bands, most of them 1,000 band. Scattered all through that timber. They feed all through that timber those days. Before they stopped the sheep from going in there and quit burning the needles. And boy, those coyotes were sick. The herders out on those big bands that camped in one place several nights at a time until they got the fed off right around it. And they had their dogs there to keep the coyotes off. There's too many coyotes come around and fire a rifle off a few times. That coyotes would take off.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't come around and shot at them a few times. But they got lots of lambs even up in the timber. You see the sheep spread out in the daytime feeding, and any little lamb that happened to lay down where there's no dog or a man, why they'd get him and carry him off.
Good. Was there any I know in the east here I've heard about our thrashing machines coming around and what excitement that was.
Oh, yeah.
Do you recall? And you must have worked at some of the
Oh, yeah.
thrashings.
Yeah. I like to work around them. I liked any kind of machinery.
Mm-hmm.
And they would come, I hauled water for one year. While I was thrashing in my place, and all of that on Cabin Creek, 2 or 3 places they thrashed up there. But I'd haul water just to be around that thrashing machine.
Well, it took quite a crew of men to operate the thrashing machine.
Oh, yeah. You had to have men that feeds up there, and the man on top there feeding it in just as the thrasher would take it. And then the first ones come out, you had to have someone to pull a straw away out there. But the second one that would come around, it had a straw carrier that carried out there quite a ways, and you could raise that up and build it up. Then if you had land that you could had more grain than that you could put in that one pile, where you could pull it ahead and make another stack right up against that one. So those worked out pretty good. They didn't have to handle that straw and that dust.
Now, was the machine pulled by teams of horses, or had?
The first ones that come around, they had to pull the engine and everything in with horses, or oxen mostly. Put 3 or 4 yoke of oxen on that old boiler and pull it around and pull it sometimes up pretty steep grades.
Was the oxen better for working than a horse?
Well, they was better for something like that because they traveled pretty slow. They're not near as fast as horses. And them old big rocks, they hang up on them, but it didn't jar them around so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Just walking slower, and they just lifted up over there.
Must have been